I'm going to fire you. This place doesn't need your kind of attitude.
I'm just doing my job.
You're not following my rules.
You can't fire me without cause.
Watch me.
I will report this discrimination.
Try it. It won't stick.
The sterile hum of a hospital corridor often masks a deeper tension, a silent battle against not just disease, but systemic prejudice. In the quiet, hallowed halls dedicated to healing, some individuals wield power not for care, but for control. This is the story of one such man, Supervisor Thomas O'Connell, whose record of 14 formal complaints for workplace harassment and racial bias painted a disturbing picture long before his final, career-ending act of aggression. His target, Dr. Anya Sharma, a woman whose credentials were unimpeachable, whose dedication was legendary, and whose very presence in a leadership role challenged O'Connell's ingrained prejudices. She was a beacon of excellence, a testament to meritocracy, yet in O'Connell's eyes, her brilliance was an affront. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop a comment below and let us know. Your engagement fuels our work, reminding us that these stories resonate far beyond the screen, touching communities and sparking conversations that are desperately needed. It was a crisp autumn morning in Harmony, Ohio, the kind where the promise of a bright day battles the lingering chill of dawn. Inside the sprawling, state-of-the-art facility of Harmony General Hospital, the air was thick with the scent of antiseptic and freshly brewed coffee. The fluorescent lights hummed with a clinical efficiency, casting a stark glow on the polished linoleum floors. This was Dr. Anya Sharma's domain, specifically the critical care unit, where the stakes were always highest, and every decision carried the weight of life and death. Dr. Anya Sharma was not just a nurse. She was a force. With a Ph.D. in nursing administration from Johns Hopkins University and over 15 years of dedicated service, she had risen through the ranks at Harmony General to become the head of critical care nursing. Her office, adorned with framed accolades, including the prestigious Ohio Nurse of the Year award from 2021 and citations for her published research on patient-centered care, was a testament to a career built on merit, tireless effort, and an unwavering commitment to her profession. She had spearheaded numerous initiatives, reducing patient readmission rates by 12% and implementing a groundbreaking mentorship program for junior nurses that became a model for hospitals across the region. Colleagues and subordinates revered her not just for her expertise, but for her compassionate leadership and her ability to navigate the most complex medical crises with calm authority. She had earned her position every single step of the way through sheer intellect, dedication, and an ethical compass that never wavered. On the other side of the organizational chart was Thomas O'Connell, a veteran supervisor in the administrative division, whose tenure was marked not by achievement, but by a consistent pattern of problematic behavior. His internal affairs file was a thick dossier, bulging with complaints that painted a chilling picture of an individual who routinely abused his authority, particularly against minority staff. The pattern was clear. In 2017, O'Connell faced his first formal complaint for verbal abuse after he publicly berated a junior nurse, Maria Rodriguez, for a minor clerical error, reducing her to tears in front of patients and staff. The incident was dismissed as a misunderstanding after O'Connell offered perfunctory apology, but the chilling effect on staff morale was palpable. A more serious incident emerged in 2019 when O'Connell was accused of directing a racial slur toward the family of a patient, an elderly African-American woman, during a dispute over visiting hours. Witnesses corroborated the family's account, leading to an internal warning and mandatory diversity training, which O'Connell reportedly mocked during the sessions. The family considered legal action but ultimately decided against it, citing the emotional toll. Then, in late 2020, he initiated unjust disciplinary action against Dr. Kenji Tanaka, a highly respected Asian American physician, fabricating claims of insubordination over a scheduling conflict. Dr. Tanaka, with the backing of the hospital's medical board and the union, successfully overturned O'Connell's spurious accusations, but not before suffering significant professional stress and reputational damage. The incident highlighted O'Connell's propensity for targeting individuals he perceived as threats or simply disliked, often along racial lines. Finally, just months before his confrontation with Dr. Sharma, an anonymous survey conducted by the hospital's HR department revealed a troubling trend. A disproportionate number of minority staff members reported being assigned undesirable shifts, denied opportunities for professional development, and subjected to microaggressions, all correlated with O'Connell's oversight areas. While no direct link was definitively proven at the time, the data provided a grim foreshadowing. O'Connell's history wasn't just a series of isolated incidents. It was a clear, escalating pattern of prejudice and abuse of power, consistently dismissed or minimally addressed by an institution seemingly unwilling to confront its own internal failings. The stage was set for a confrontation that would rip open the veneer of professionalism and expose the rot beneath. The catalyst of the fateful confrontation was a fabricated complaint, discreetly filed to the hospital's internal anonymous reporting system. The accusation, vague and baseless, alleged gross insubordination and neglect of duty against Dr. Anya Sharma, claiming she had deliberately bypassed a critical patient protocol. The internal security dispatch, receiving the report, forwarded it directly to Supervisor O'Connell, who, instead of initiating a standard, discreet inquiry, saw an opportunity. He was not interested in verification. He was interested in vindication for his own prejudiced views. Dr. Sharma, entirely unaware of the brewing storm, was engaged in her normal morning routine. She was making her rounds in the critical care unit, her pristine white lab coat a stark contrast to the soft blue scrubs worn by her team. She paused at a patient's bedside, meticulously reviewing charts on a tablet, her brow furrowed in concentration. She then moved to mentor a new resident, Dr. Ethan Kim, patiently explaining the nuances of ventilator management, her voice calm and authoritative. Her activity was mundane, legitimate, and utterly beyond reproach. She was, quite simply, doing her job and doing it exceptionally well. But facts, for some, are secondary to prejudice. Should officers, or in this case, supervisors, be mandated to thoroughly verify credentials and allegations before initiating any form of confrontational disciplinary action, especially when dealing with high-ranking professionals? Or does the mere existence of complaint grant unchecked authority? The confrontation began abruptly. O'Connell, his face a mask of thinly veiled hostility, approached Dr. Sharma directly in the bustling corridor outside the ICU. "Dr. Sharma," he began, his voice clipped, cutting through the low murmur of the unit, "I've received a serious complaint regarding your conduct this morning." Dr. Sharma, taken aback, calmly replied, "Mr. O'Connell, I assure you, I've been following all protocols. What specifically are we discussing?" "Don't play coy," O'Connell sneered, ignoring the curious glances of passing nurses. "It's about the Miller case, bypassing standard procedure. A clear violation." "The Miller case?" Dr. Sharma's voice remained steady, though a flicker of indignation crossed her face. "Mr. O'Connell, I personally oversaw the Miller case. Every decision was documented, approved by the attending physician, and adhered to advanced life support protocols. Here," she said, pulling up her tablet, "I can show you the time-stamped entries, the physician's sign-off, even the live telemetry data that justified the immediate intervention." O'Connell waved a dismissive hand. "Anyone can fake that. Those digital records are easily manipulated. I don't care about your fancy degrees or your protocols. I have a complaint, and it's serious enough to warrant immediate action." "Immediate action?" Dr. Sharma's voice hardened. "Based on what?" "An anonymous claim that directly contradicts verifiable patient data and physician orders? Are you questioning my professional integrity without a shred of evidence?" "I'm questioning your authority, Dr. Sharma," O'Connell retorted, stepping closer, his voice rising. "You think your Ph.D. makes you untouchable? It doesn't. I'm instituting disciplinary proceedings right now. I have the authority to suspend you, effective immediately." By now, a small crowd had gathered. Dr. Kim, the resident she had been mentoring, stood wide-eyed. Several nurses had paused their tasks, their faces a mixture of shock and concern. Even a patient's family member, waiting anxiously for an update, had turned to watch the escalating scene. The hospital's sterile environment was suddenly charged with tension, the quiet professionalism shattered by O'Connell's aggressive tone. Just as O'Connell reached for his phone, presumably to call security, a calm, authoritative voice cut through the air. "Mr. O'Connell, that will be quite enough." Standing at the end of the corridor was Ms. Eleanor Vance, the hospital's chief human resources officer, flanked by 2 members of hospital security. She had been alerted by a concerned staff member who had witnessed the beginning of the confrontation. Vance's gaze was steely, fixed squarely on O'Connell. "Mr. O'Connell, I need you to immediately relinquish your hospital ID and access badge. You are being escorted off the premises." O'Connell's jaw dropped. "What? You can't do this. I'm just doing my job." "Your job," Ms. Vance stated, her voice devoid of emotion, "does not include public harassment, baseless accusations, or the attempted suspension of a highly valued senior staff member without due process. Your badge and ID now." The security officers moved forward, their presence a silent, undeniable command. The confrontation, as sudden as it had begun, was over. The immediate aftermath was swift and decisive. Within minutes, Thomas O'Connell was escorted out of Harmony General Hospital, his access revoked, his authority stripped, leaving a vacuum where his toxic presence once loomed. Dr. Sharma, though shaken, was immediately reassured by Ms. Vance and the hospital SO, who personally apologized for the egregious conduct of their supervisor. But the ripples of O'Connell's actions were just beginning to spread. This incident, captured not just by the hospital's extensive security camera network, but also on the cell phone of a brave junior nurse who had discreetly recorded the latter half of the confrontation, exploded onto social media. The footage, raw and unfiltered, showed O'Connell's aggressive posture, his dismissive hand gestures, and his blatant disregard for Dr. Sharma's professional rebuttal. Posted under the hashtag Justice for Anya, the video went viral, accumulating over 20 million views in less than 48 hours, trending across national platforms. News outlets picked up the story, amplifying Dr. Sharma's ordeal and exposing systemic issues within Harmony General. The public outcry was immense. Thousands demanded O'Connell's immediate termination and a thorough investigation into the hospital's HR practices. This raises a critical question. Should officers or supervisors, when proven to have engaged in racially biased or discriminatory behavior, face automatic termination, regardless of tenure or prior disciplinary record, to send an unequivocal message against prejudice? Under intense public pressure and facing a looming public relations catastrophe, Harmony General Hospital issued a public statement condemning O'Connell's behavior and announcing an internal investigation. However, this was not enough. Dr. Sharma, with the support of the powerful civil rights law firm Parker and Associates, filed a comprehensive lawsuit against Thomas O'Connell and Harmony General Hospital. The claims were extensive: racial discrimination, hostile work environment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and a blatant attempt at wrongful termination, all exacerbated by the hospital's long-standing failure to address O'Connell's documented pattern of abuse. The legal battle was intense, but with the undeniable evidence of the viral video, O'Connell's extensive disciplinary history, and Dr. Sharma's unimpeachable professional record, the hospital quickly realized the futility of a protracted fight. Within 6 months, a settlement was reached. Harmony General Hospital agreed to pay Dr. Anya Sharma an unprecedented $8.5 million. It was the largest settlement in the state's history for a workplace discrimination case, a staggering figure that underscored the severity of the injustice and the hospital's culpability in fostering an environment where such prejudice could thrive. As for Thomas O'Connell, the consequences were absolute. His termination letter, a stark document that quickly became public record, minced no words. Your conduct on October 17th constituted gross misconduct, a severe violation of Harmony General Hospital's ethical standards, and caused irreparable damage to the institution's reputation and trust within the community. Your employment is terminated effective immediately. Furthermore, the State Board of Nursing Supervisors, citing his egregious abuse of power and discriminatory actions, initiated proceedings to decertify a professional administrative license, effectively ending his career in healthcare management. He was not merely fired. He was professionally eradicated, a consequence of his own unchecked prejudice and the institution's belated accountability. Standing before a packed press conference weeks after the settlement, Dr. Anya Sharma delivered a powerful testimony that transcended her personal ordeal. Her voice, clear and resonant, echoed with the weight of experience. "What happened to me," she stated, her gaze sweeping across the assembled journalists, was not an isolated incident. It was a culmination of a system that allowed prejudice to fester, that protected an individual who consistently abused his power, and that only acted decisively when public outcry forced its hand. If this can happen to me, a seasoned professional with a PhD, with years of dedication and accolades, what hope is there for others who lack my resources, my platform, or my ability to fight back? Her words were a searing indictment, a call to arms for anyone who had ever faced discrimination in the workplace. She spoke not just for herself, but for countless others whose stories never reached the headlines. Her testimony sparked a vital conversation about accountability in professional environments. Should an incident of this magnitude, exposing deep-seated systemic failures within a major healthcare institution, automatically trigger a federal investigation into the hospital's human resources practices and its overall compliance with anti-discrimination laws? Following the public and legal pressure, Harmony General Hospital launched an independent internal review overseen by an external panel of civil rights experts. The department findings were damning. The review uncovered a series of systemic failures, inadequate bias training that was largely performative and not enforced, a chronic lack of oversight for supervisors, particularly those with a history of complaints, an insufficient and often intimidating complaint tracking system that discouraged reporting, and a pervasive culture of impunity that allowed problematic individuals like O'Connell to operate unchecked for years. The review concluded that these failures created an environment ripe for discrimination and undermined the very principles of fairness and equity the hospital claimed to uphold. In response, the hospital's new leadership, brought in after the CEO's resignation, announced a sweeping slate of reforms. These included mandatory annual bias training for all staff, with specific, actionable modules for leadership, the establishment of an independent ombudsman office, reporting directly to the board of directors to handle all discrimination complaints confidentially, revised and transparent complaint procedures designed to protect whistleblowers, and a commitment to implementing diversity quotas in all leadership positions, aiming for a workforce that truly reflected the community it served. These were not mere suggestions. They were binding commitments monitored by the state and civil rights organizations. The story of Dr. Anya Sharma and Thomas O'Connell is a stark reminder that in certain systems, bias can override all evidence, all credentials, all common sense. It illustrates how deeply ingrained prejudice, when coupled with unchecked authority, can wreak havoc on careers, reputations, and human dignity. O'Connell's career, built on a foundation of unaddressed complaints, ultimately crumbled under the weight of his own bigotry. The hospital, once complacent, was forced to confront its own institutional failings, incurring significant financial penalties and a lasting stain on its reputation. But the true cost extends far beyond the monetary. It's the erosion of trust, the chilling effect on those who fear speaking out, and the constant battle against the insidious nature of systemic injustice. What changes now is a multi-million-dollar settlement and a few new policies truly enough to dismantle the deep-seated prejudices that plague so many institutions? Or will these reforms simply paper over the cracks until the next scandal erupts? We must demand more than reactive measures. We need proactive, systemic overhauls. What do you think? Should there be a mandatory national independent review board for all workplace discrimination complaints in critical sectors like healthcare, with federal authority to enforce penalties and mandate reforms? Share your thoughts in the comments below. This story is not just about one supervisor, or one hospital, or even one victim. It's about all of us. It's about the fight for justice, for equity, and for a world where merit, not prejudice, dictates opportunity. We're not stopping until every voice is heard and every injustice is brought to light. Your support helps us continue this vital work. Please like this video, share it with your networks, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that expose the truth and demand accountability.